Hello, welcome to COM263 Interpersonal Communication. I'm very excited to have you in this class. My name is Rowdy Duncan. In this course, I'm going to ask you to refer to me as Professor D. Part of the reason I ask for that is because it's kind of hard to get an F from Rowdy. Not that I like giving Fs, but it's easier to have like a little bit more professional distance by asking you to refer to me as Professor D. I think it's shorthand enough to still feel friendly, but it's got enough professional distance that I can still do my job and hold you accountable in the way that I'm hoping to see it happen. So I want you to know I'm really excited to have you in this class. This is the first class I've ever built from the ground up, and you are going to be some of the first students that I have in this class, and I'm really excited to have you take this course because you're going to learn to understand where so many problems in the world come from. Racism, sexism, classism, systems of exploitation, and how these things perpetuate, and then what we can do to communicate differently to make these things go away in our presence. This class I like to call What's Wrong with the World and How I Can Change My Way of Thinking and Speaking to Make the World a Better, More Healthy Place. So with that, understand we're going to talk about things that are really uncomfortable. This class is rated R. And when I say it's rated R, we're going to be using swear words. We're going to talk about racial slurs, and we're going to mention the words that are racial slurs. Again, we're not going to be swearing at anybody. We're not going to be calling anybody any racial slurs. But we have to examine these slurs. We have to understand what's the impact of these slurs and why we want to avoid these things because of the pain and trauma that are inflicted upon others when these things are heard around others. So understand, we're going to be talking about difficult, very hard, uncomfortable topics. But we do it so we can understand where do these things come from and how do we undo these things. So we'll talk about rape and abuse, genocide, things of that nature. But understand, it's a lot to take in and it can feel heavy at times, but I'm taking you to a good place. We're going to get to a place where you come to be empowered with the idea that you can make a difference about these things if you just choose to act slightly differently around people and taking on the responsibility that we have power and we can use this power to change the world in a really positive way. So a little bit about me. I am indigenous, which is why you see the jewelry here. I'm Taos Pueblo and Eastern Band Cherokee, but I've got white. I think I might have some Mexican in there, but I'm a whole big mixed bag of stuff. And I love teaching this class because we become a community in this class in a way that other classes don't. And the fact that we understand that you get picked on for being you and I get picked on for being me, and we all have parts of our identities that people favor and they like it too much, and we have parts of our identities that they disfavor and they dislike it for no good reason. It helps bring us together as humans together, and I like that idea. And I think it's interesting. I'm very physically active. I usually go to bed about 8:30, so I'm not going to email you past that time. I try not to do email after 5 p.m. because I love my family. You may see Tank, or my partner. She's a communication faculty at Gateway Community College. In some of the things, or we'll talk or tell stories about some of those things. And I'm excited for you to get to know me. I'm very excited for myself to have the opportunity to get to know you. Understand too that the things I teach you in this class, I get paid a lot of money outside of the Maricopa Community College districts to teach. So, for example, some of the activities you're going to take part in, I might get paid $3,000 to $5,000 to go do for a company, and I could make a lot more money doing those things. The issue is I have to sell them on why this is bad and why they need to change. When I get to teach students, they usually see immediately like, well, this is a terrible idea. Why do we do this? And I go, well, these are why these things happen. And you're like, well, let's stop that and just do this other thing that's so much better, right? I love teaching you all because like you guys just get it. Whereas I have to sell people on it or show people on it or talk really deeply about history or current patterns of issues and problems with this. So I'm excited to teach you this because not only am I going to change change the world by changing you and making you much more of a happy and whole person, figuring out who you really are and like who you want to be in this world, But then I also show how you can change the world, how you can make a difference. So I consider teaching a form of service. Yes, I could make a lot more money doing my consulting work or doing training or being a public speaker around these topics, but I wouldn't make the same impact that I can make by helping you. And that's why I'm excited you're in my class with me. It's because we're going to make the world a better place together. Also know that my job, because I feel this way, that this is my form of service, this is how I'm going to change the world, I'm going to hold you accountable. I don't accept late work. You're going to need to get your work in on time. I do this because most of you that are taking a class like this, you're either going to be in a field that requires a high degree of accountability, like a healthcare field or a work field where this is very important, or you're going to need to go on and get your degree from a university, and they're going to hold you accountable too. I at least provide for some extra credit. I have a student success coupon that I'll talk about later that I use to help you get better, but I hold you accountable for being your best self because I believe you can do it. So don't think of me as being harsh. Think of me as being someone that sees the best in you, and I know you can do it. So I'm kind of half coached, and then I'm like, you can do this, and then I'm also going to be half cheerleader. You can do this as well. Make sure you watch all the videos I embed in all the slides. I've taken hours upon hours upon hours to try to find the best videos that really talk about deep and difficult topics in ways that allow us to understand stuff. Additionally, when I ask you in discussion boards to talk about stuff, don't just attempt to get the assignment done. Really engage with the material. How did you think and feel about what you saw? How did you think and feel about what you experienced? How do you do some of these patterns in the real world, good or bad? And then in dialogue with each other, we're going to be able to learn from each other because you're going to have things that you can teach me. There's parts of your identity that I'm not, that I still have a lot of ability to learn from. And by you really digging in and sharing what's going on with you, I learn from you and I become better from you too. Another reason why I love teaching. Also, you will have a student success coupon. This is good for one late assignment, so hold on to it because you only get to use it once, because otherwise I don't accept late work. If you don't turn in work, I'm assuming you couldn't get it done. If there is some type of major issue that's happening in your life, reach out and let me know. I'm willing to work with you, but it has to be an emergency outside your control. If it's something that you could have controlled and you just didn't do it, this is part of me holding you accountable. But again, I hold you accountable because I truly believe in you. I tell my students I love my students, and I don't say that flippantly. I really do love you, but I love you so much that I believe in who you can be enough to treat you who you can be as well. Also understand, my goal is to make you a better human. I want you to walk out this class different. So at the end of the semester, if you're not fundamentally somehow different, somehow better, somehow don't understand the world in a different way, or somehow understand that the world's forced you to be someone maybe that you're not, then I haven't served you. And serving you is something that's really important to me, given how important I think service is. And so with that, understand that this is something that means a lot to me. And if you're not a better person by the time this class is over, I don't know that I've done my job as best as I could. And lastly, like I said, this is going to be difficult. We're going to talk about difficult topics, but we're also going to learn about who we really are and what we really want. And we're going to get a sense of ways that we can talk to or help other folks be their full, true selves. And that's an amazing, a beautiful thing. We're going to talk about parts of you that people have been horrible to, and I'm going to help you find beauty in those things. We're going to talk about parts of you that people have overvalued, and it's going to be really uncomfortable. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, we're all unique individuals. The problem is we don't see or recognize that we're all unique individuals, deserving of respect and worth. When we treat each other as unique individuals who are deserving of respect and worth, and understand it's what makes us different inherently that makes us beautiful. So let's talk about those differences. Let's emphasize those differences and learn to love these things, because that's where the magic lies. And the better you get at moving from one culture to another and able to understand things, you'll see the world in a more true way. Just the idea that you see things differently than I do helps me see the world in a more real way. And that's what we will get to do together in interpersonal communication together. So with that, I'm Professor D. I'm so happy you enrolled in this class. I want you to be as successful as possible, but I'm going to hold you accountable to be as successful as possible too. Thank you for being in my class, and I can't wait to get to know you better as we go through the rest of the semester.